ladies and gentlemen, this is Cynthia the Audio Bell, and I am back for another MiniDSP SHD video. If you haven't checked out my review on the MiniDSP, go check it out. It has my overall thoughts on the product, whether I would recommend it or not recommend it, likes and dislikes. And I've also got a few more videos surrounding it on final thoughts, including this one. And in this one, I would like to thank one of my viewers, H. Scott. And now that we have YouTube aliases, his name presents as at AMB3COG. I don't know if that's meant to be pronounced at amb3cog or what that is. But regardless, I wanted to thank you because you've opened my eyes to digital audio and how much I just did not know. So the comment was surrounding the fact that I had made a statement that the studio version of the MiniDSP SHD, because it's all digital and has no analog components, I made a comment that you need an external preamp before your amplifier. And what I did not know is that is not the case. The SHD regular has analog inputs and is a preamplifier built in. The studio, it has digital volume controls, but I did not think inherently that it is a preamp because it's not analog. When my viewer brought this up to me, I was really confused because I'd always thought you need a preamp before your amplifier to bring sound up to line levels before it can be amplified out to your speakers. From what I learned, that's not the case. So because this confused me so much and I just couldn't get out of that way of thinking of, I'm seeing a topology, it includes a preamp before an amp, it didn't make any sense. So to learn more about how the studio version works, I emailed MiniDSP to kind of get a basis of what their take on it was. I mean, since they designed the product, I was like, well, can they tell me if it's a preamp or if, because inherently it has volume controls, is it considered a preamp? All of that stuff. And their response was that the term preamp, paraphrasing here, the term preamp is basically kind of obsolete, and that in digital audio, there's no need to boost a weak signal to line levels, whereas that is needed in analog audio. And so I did not know that about digital audio. And they said you could kind of consider it a preamp if you wanted to because it has the volume controls, but it was basically not really. It's not really a preamp. And just because something has volume controls does not make it a preamp either. That still wasn't clicking to me as to why and how did digital volume controls work. And also, I still couldn't get out of my head that there is a preamp before an amplifier. And so there was some back and forth on the internet on things I found of connecting a DAC straight to an amplifier because I didn't know that you could do that. And on MiniDSP's website, it shows for the studio version, the studio, a DAC, and then an amplifier. And what I ended up finding online was, yes, you can do it, but if it's not a good DAC, then it may not work. And so I had to dig deeper in, well, what does that mean exactly? So then I found out that if you have a good DAC, then it should have a powerful enough signal to where your amplifier can pick up the signal and then amplify it out to your speakers. If your DAC has a weak signal, then you have to have an amplifier that has a high input sensitivity for it to be able to pick up on your DAC's weak signal, grab that, amplify it out to your speakers. If you have a nice DAC, then you shouldn't have a problem. If you have a DAC that has a weaker signal, then you're going to be fully reliant on your amplifiers and whether they have that high input sensitivity or not to pick up on that signal. If they don't, then it's not going to work and you will need a preamp to boost the signal before hitting the amplifier. And that is the best way that I can understand that portion of things. the viewer out there, HH Scott, it's just easier to say than your alias, I'm sorry. But you said that I should take Ask Paul videos for a grain of salt, which I've been watching, and that I should go and watch Hans Bakusen's channel, which I did, but I couldn't find a particular video on this topic. But I think he is a great YouTuber, and I would recommend anybody out there who wants to learn more about digital audio, go check out Hans Bakusen. I will link to him below in the description box. But he kind of breaks things down as far as digital audio in a more analytical but also easy to understand way if you're really wanting to get into the technology behind digital audio. But again, I couldn't find a video on this particular topic, probably because he is like, you know, how can you not know this? And this is just, to me, it blew my mind because I had no idea. But then again, I've been on the analog side of things for a while, and I'm just now really getting started into the digital realm more seriously. So HH Scott, you told me that I should take Ask Paul videos with a grain of salt. So don't hurt me when I tell you that I asked Paul. But I know Paul, and I thought, well, I have his email because I interviewed him previously. Why not just shoot him a quick email and see what he says? Because I still wasn't understanding the part about digital volume controls and how that worked. Because why do you need digital volume controls if that just is modifying ones and zeros? I didn't get it. And so I was really surprised that he emailed me back just, I think it was within the same day or the next day. And I thought that was really nice. So Paul broke down the history a little bit more with me on how digital volume controls started on DACs. He said that that really started happening in the early 2000s, and the digital volume controls sacrificed resolution. Nowadays, you can have a DAC replace a preamplifier in the digital side of your system. Now, a preamp is going to still be needed with analog source components, but on the digital side, a DAC can replace a traditional preamplifier. And that digital volume controls work like this. So say you have the volume knob turned all the way up, and that's your normal. Now you start turning the volume down digitally. Well, what are you doing behind the scenes? You've got to understand how that's working to understand how it can be a bad thing or whether it even matters. So what that's doing is it's removing ones and zeros from the sine wave to get it closer to the middle line, and thus sacrificing resolution in the process. Now, what Paul said was that's like kind of unlikely to be an issue nowadays with how far we've come with digital technology. Now, he did say that one way to accomplish a lossless scenario would be upsampling from 24 bits to 50 bits, and thus allowing extra bits or extra room for the digital volume control functions. So I don't get into the technical nitty-gritty a lot in my videos, but I'm just starting to learn more, and I have that kind of urge to share it with you guys as I learn more, in case it's something that you don't know, or in case it's something that maybe you can help correct me on and educate me on. Now, if you like the technical tidbits, if you find that they're helpful, let me know in the comments. If you prefer more of the entertaining and kind of story-based videos, let me know as well, because I'm interested to hear your feedback in what you actually want to hear or what you're interested in the most in these videos. If you found this to be informative, entertaining, what have you, please feel free to like and subscribe, and that way you don't miss the next video I put out about the MiniDSP. I have one more coming up, and then I will be done for the time being, and I'll be moving on to some other things. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Audio Bell signing out. Thank you for watching.